Switch to the.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
We are preparing to begin. Oh, is that a black screen? There we are. Yay! So we are getting set up. I'm going to share this video to Steve's Facebook page. Hello, everybody. I'm Tananarive.
It's Stephen Barnes here. We'll be all on the air in just a moment.
We are a little bit early while we get set up and do our sharing. Please also share with your friends who might not know about the recording today.
Please share with your friends.
This is going to be a special one.
This is a very special show. We've already got 9 people on there. That's like so cool.
Hello. We're just about
Hello. We have 14 people on.
Nice.
Whew. Have to make sure to hit the right button. Hit the wrong button just a minute ago.
Friends timeline.
Okay. I'm going to switch over to our faces. I think that it's okay to do that. And beep, there we are.
Hey, I'm still sharing. Almost done. Last time I actually managed to share it to my own page. So
This
we
is
are
good.
live.
We are live. We are live. We're live. Alive. And let's see. Okay, let's see. It says Maureen Shaw says hi guys. Mark Abram and Sheena Carey. And people are giving us likes at the bottom of the screen.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome
Hello.
everybody. Well, it is the top of the hour.
It is the top of the hour.
3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time. I'm Tananarive.
And I'm Stephen Barnes.
And this is Afrofuturism Live.
It is. And we have a really special show for you today.
Really good show.
We have an announcement that we're so excited about.
Super excited about.
Super excited about. Let's take a look.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yes.
I will check my messages, my comments.
You check your comments, and I'm going
here.
to go over what our basic goal is. What are we about? What are we trying to do? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create thousands of successful artists.
Yes,
That's what we want. Now, you fans, you're welcome to come along for the ride, but this is for the artists out there. This is for a younger version of me,
or a younger version of me.
A younger version of you, who is much cuter than the younger version of me.
Well, I'm sure you were adorable, darling.
I was, in my way. But, you're just flat out adorable. Now, our method is to teach everything you need to thrive and succeed. We don't hold anything back on any of these, and anything you ask for, we will tell you. That's just the way it is, and that's the way we want it to be, and that's the way we're going to keep it. Let's see. Once again, be sure to stay till the end for a special announcement, and we ask that you be sure to share this with your friends so that other people can enjoy the fun. We're having a good time. So tell, Tananarive, who are you?
I'm Tananarive. I am an author and a screenwriter. I've won an American Book Award, a British Fantasy Award, and I'm teaching a black horror course at UCLA.
Really? That has nothing to do with the announcement we have later on.
Nothing
at all. And I'm Stephen Barnes, New York Times bestselling author of 31 plus novels, and wrote an Emmy-winning episode of The Outer Limits, as well as written for The Twilight Zone and Andromeda and Stargate SG-1. And I've lectured at UCLA and Mensa, the Smithsonian, and all kinds of stuff like that. And we together won the NAACP Image Award, which was very, very cool.
For a book we wrote in partnership with Blair Underwood.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So today's show is horror. We are Afrofuturism, which for me is the black speculative arts, which is science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Horror is that art which fills us with dread and horror. It can be multi-genre other than that. Sometimes horror is also science fiction, like Get Out, or has comic elements, like Get Out. Horror allows us to step away from our real pain and view it from a safe distance.
As you can tell, we really love the movie Get Out. We feel that it is the epitome of Afrofuturism right now. It is the most successful film of its kind in a number of different ways. And we are so proud of Jordan. We're so proud of this movie, and we're so happy with the way people have reacted to it.
Yes.
That, we rave about it some. And I think that it's very, very important for the community to be very proud and let that pride be known. It's just,
Well, look at them. They're excited, too.
That's right. Every time.
This is like one of someone on my Twitter was saying it's the best film he's seen in 5 years. I just saw an article in The Atlantic today about why it has an actual chance of getting the Best Picture Oscar, according to this writer in The Atlantic. So,
look, I would be afraid of that because I don't want Jordan to be on such a tall mountain.
Well, they're going for it, is all.
Okay,
going for
if they go for it, I'd vote for it. I'd vote for it.
Whatever they want to go for.
I just remember what happened to Orson Welles. He did Citizen Kane, and he never topped it. and it actually kind of hurt him. And I've seen that happen. So the fantastic success of this movie, I want it to be a stepping stone to bigger things and bigger things and bigger things.
Absolutely.
So it's like we love it. I love the fact that he cared as much as he did, that he put as much of his heart out there as he did,
yes.
that he's as funny as it is, as scary as it is,
yes.
and as honest as it is. I love that.
We have pictures we'll show you later, but
yes.
last night we were at a fantastic reception because just as we're excited about Get Out, artists around the country, probably around the world, I would say, are also excited about Get Out.
Yes, they are.
And Universal had collected fan art.
Is that what that was?
Yes, that was all fan art.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from fans.
I thought they'd commissioned it.
No, it's fans because
people did
spontaneously creating. Because, just think of all the memes that have come out of Get Out Alone. The no, and,
right.
and the running man and the sink into the floor. And because we totally get all of those things, and,
yes.
it touches so many aspects of social clashes and assimilation.
To me, I was actually talking to Jordan last night, and I was saying that what you had there is a movie that was able to bridge audiences because it allows black audiences to ask, are there any allies we can trust in the world? And white audiences were asking, what do we need to do to get past get beyond the past so that we can be trusted, so we can trust each other? That sense of we've gone too far to have a bridge. That, is it even possible to bridge the divide? I say that artists are going to have an important part in bridging that divide because they can create a common language. We can now
yes.
communicate with each other, and you can identify people of good faith it's to a certain degree by the way they react to these images.
Right. There are a lot of ranges of responses to Get Out, although I have to say I have not heard a lot of, it's anti-white, which I kind of expected.
Right.
I really haven't heard, it's at 99% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. So a number of you are asking what we think about it being classified as a comedy.
We'll be talking about that later.
We will address that.
Yeah, we'll be addressing that. Jordan Peele addressed it this week, so
that's
maybe
right.
you haven't heard, and we can explain all of that to you. And get past that conversation to the next conversation, which is way beyond the Golden Globes, looking toward the Oscars.
Yes.
So
let's see. What do we go into? Let's see. What are the secrets? What are we going to be talking about this week? And once again, we're always messing around a little bit with the tag.
I'm telling my Twitter that we're on live. So pardon me while I do. I'm a little bit addicted to Twitter.
Okay.
So yes.
So what we're talking about is what is horror and why horror is important. Secret number one. Secret number two is that creation is easy and natural.
Believe it or not.
And secret number three
Believe it or not.
is your dreams are also profitable.
And by profitable, what that also means is that they can go far and wide in the world and have an impact. It's not just about the money; it's also about the impact, which is something that Jordan Peele is seeing because all these conversations are just about how impactful the film is.
But it is also about the money.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not saying it's not about the money.
Vote with your dollars, people.
I'm not saying it's not about the money. I'm just saying that money usually means you've been able to reach people. So, the sunken place. Let me get a little bit into my journey with the genre of horror. Are we still face on?
No. We're in the cards now.
Oh, we're in the cards. Okay.
Yes,
so,
good.
My mother, seen on the left, being dragged away by police officers in Tallahassee, Florida, was the late Patricia Stevens Dew. She was in college. She was the age of my current UCLA college students when she was arrested for taking part in civil rights demonstrations in Tallahassee. Usually things like, we'd like to be able to sit and order at a lunch counter. We'd like to be able to go into a movie theater and not sit in a horrible segregated section. So these are the kind of radical, awful things that she was agitating for which she was arrested. And as you can see in this picture on the right, we're posing together at Books and Books in Miami, Florida, actually. She is still wearing dark glasses, as she was in the other picture, because in 1960, a police officer threw a tear gas canister in her face, and she was sensitive to light for her entire adult life. So that's how I knew her, the woman behind dark glasses. And the reason I'm telling you about my mother is because my mother is the one who brought me to the horror genre. If you look at horror in terms of how many black folks like to go see horror movies, and Latinos, we over-index. It's beyond our statistical representation. There's been an ongoing love affair with horror for Black people in this country, but it was never really geared toward us. It was, we'll go into that a little bit later, but so she raised me practically watching the Fly, The Mummy, The Mole People. Am I ringing any bells for people? Some of these oldies. Like, do you remember The Mole People? Who remembers the original Fly before Jeff Goldblum? Of course, The Werewolf. Of course, Dracula. So these were, in fact, universal horror movies that I grew up watching and developed a great love for horror. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm just going to stick to this story, that my mother gave me my first copy of a Stephen King novel, The Shining, when I was about 16 years old. And then it was off to the races in literary horror and not just cinematic horror. I hadn't read any literary horror really before Stephen King. So that's the love affair. And of course, yes, I wanted to create it. So I became a horror creator. Let's go to the next slide. And, oh, okay, right. This slide reminds me what the next part of the story is. As a kid, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining came out. This is a super popular, of course, horror movie. I loved the Stephen King novel. That's the one my mom gave me. So when I heard there was an adaptation, we were first to the theater. And I actually loved the movie as a kid. I did. I loved it. I loved the blood in the elevator. I loved the creepy little twin girls. I loved the hedge maze, all of it. There was one huge disappointment that stuck out. The character played by Scatman Crothers, who was supposed to be Danny's ally against his father, and in the book it had a rather significant role, ends up basically thrown away in the film the minute he walks through the door. I mean, literally, it was the minute he walked through the door. Jack Nicholson's character hit him with the axe.
It's even worse than you're saying. Here is this character who's supposed to have The Shining. Danny has The Shining, and Scatman Crothers' character recognized it because he also has The Shining.
That's true. He did.
He goes off on vacation. At a distance, he has a psychic vision that this family needs him. He flies from Miami into the snow.
Yes.
The roads are blocked. He rents a snowmobile and goes across, 50 miles of country because he knows there's so much danger. So much danger. Then he just walks into the house and gets hit in the chest with an axe. Just walks into the house, with hello, anybody there?
I mean, literally, that was what happened. And it was bad enough, being subjected.
Was anybody else angry at that? I know Stanley Kubrick is my favorite director, but I will never watch The Shining again because of the stupidity of that scene.
I did watch it again recently, and the things
the
things that scared me really did still hold up. See, that's the thing that happens though when you're a horror fan. Like you, honey, with your adventure novels, having to wade through all that garbage. You're willing to you have to, okay, Annabelle hurt my feelings because it had another spiritual guide who died needlessly. But I did go see Annabelle too, so,
Yeah, but would you watch Annabelle again?
No, I wouldn't watch Annabelle.
See, I would, because they killed a woman. So they killed a man in The Shining, so you'd watch it again. So that's what it is. You just translate.
I mean, we're not going to get into a whole Black Lives Matter conversation here, but
Black male lives matter.
Yeah, but I will say this, that one of the things inspiring me as a creator, and I always wanted to write, started writing when I was very young, was to center Black characters in horror stories so that they would not be Scatman Crothers. So that maybe he could have some heroism and he could have some agency, and I don't know, maybe let's tell his story. So I started publishing in 1995, and I wrote, and I still do write, a lot of supernatural suspense, horror. My Soul to Keep is my second novel, which I got blurred by Stephen King. Imagine, that was so exciting because, of course, he was, like I said, my first in terms of being a horror reader. And then The Good House, which is a possession, haunted house novel. I chose these two because these are the two that have been most in and out of option since they were published, especially My Soul to Keep. It's almost been continuously under option since its publication in 1997. And along the way, I learned some lessons about how Black horror was viewed in Hollywood, which is to say it was not viewed at all in Hollywood. I mean, I had
nothing to see here. Move along.
I had an executive once get me on the phone about My Soul to Keep. I don't even know if I told you this story, honey. And he had the whole phone conversation with me. Listen, we've been having some talks here, and just wanted to bring you up to speed. And one of the conversations we're having is whether the protagonist, David, whose actual name is Dawit, by the way, it's Ethiopian, whether David should be black. And I'm thinking, well, let's see. Dawit was formerly enslaved, and he was a central figure in the jazz age, in the beginning of jazz. And I was like, and that was not the only time. Steve, we were at that meeting, remember, at a production company, major horror production company, actually, back in the day.
Yes. That was for The Good House, right?
That was The
Good
Good
House.
House.
Sitting there with Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker wanted to direct it.
That's right.
Angela Bassett wasn't there, but we were already in talks with her about potentially playing the lead of Angela Toussaint, and Blair Underwood was there as a producer, and our producers Nia Hill and D'Angela Steed were there. So it's a table full of black folks. We've just made what I like to call a popcorn pitch. And the popcorn pitch is a pitch that is so good and so tight, you should have brought popcorn, because that's how good it was. You basically just saw the movie, and he heard our popcorn pitch, which we had perfected, right? We worked on it a long time.
It's true.
And he says, listen, we love it, great story, great characters, but our investors overseas, they're kind of racist. He goes into this whole thing. Do the characters have to be black? He says, again, we're coming up with this question. And trust me, if they're not asking you to your face, they're thinking it really very often, and probably up until now and continuing. That's what they're thinking, because they have this image in their minds of how much profit they'll be losing if they have a film that's perceived as a black film. This is an ongoing conversation. So, yeah, not real thrilled with that. And it was a real lesson. Eye
opener. I mean, I expect that that's the conversation that's going on. And they always say it's our investors overseas. They never, ever say it's me.
Right.
I don't want to see that. It's always the audience. It's always my boss. It's always the investors. It's always somebody else. So the conclusion I come to is that it's everybody. Right. And not just, it's that human beings simply prefer to see somebody of their own tribe.
Right.
If black people were in charge of the studios, we'd be doing it to white people and acting just as innocent. Who, me? Do they have to be white? I would actually like to be part of that conversation.
It would be fun just to see if that is what would happen, and maybe it wouldn't, but maybe it would. It probably would, but just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'd certainly love a chance to see it.
I might visit that.
I would love to hit the button and flip the switch
just out
on
of
that
curiosity,
conversation.
and then we'd be back here, and it would, it would be back to normal, so it's okay. But in any case, then along comes a trailer. Before the trailer, I'm sure we had heard, because we're always scouring for internet news of horror on the horizon.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we heard about Get Out, and we were like, Jordan Peele, okay, that's interesting, and I'm not sure. But then
because we saw him on Mad TV, and we saw him on Key and Peele.
But then we're thinking about racist zombies.
That's right, racist zombies, and they did stuff with aliens and stuff with being caught in the endless loop at the nightclub. And I realized that he has a horror sensibility, or somebody right there, one of these two guys, has a horror sensibility, a science fiction sensibility, a genre sensibility. So it was possible. And I'd heard, okay, well, it only cost, $4.5 million. So there's a good chance it'll make its money back. And if he wants to direct, I could see how this could work.
But and then the trailer comes out. The trailer had me at hello, from the scenario of an interracial couple, the visit home, that so many people who have dated interracially can relate to, myself included. And then the idea of what was not named, I don't think, in the trailer, but we learned later was called the sunken place. That moment in the trailer, sink into the floor, sink, when he starts to sink into that chair and he becomes a little boy and he's sinking to the floor, that was in the trailer I saw.
Yes.
I was like, oh, snap. He is going to bring it. This is not going to be about Boo and running away. This film is about something. I didn't know what, but you could just tell from the trailer.
I guess what I could see from the trailer was that his ideas were operating they were operating deeply, that the visual images were reflecting the thematics, were reflecting the plot points. There was something going on here. I could tell that from the coming attraction. There's something happening in this movie. This is not a joke. It's not, he's not throwing this away. It's not, Snoop Dogg gets a vanity project. It's not, an entertainer from a different arena of life has the opportunity to do something in a separate arena and does a vanity project. It wasn't that. It was something else. I could feel it from the trailers. So when the reviews started coming,
and it was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I could not believe it.
First of all, look, we check out a lot of horror. So before we hit, play on Netflix or buy on Amazon, we head over to Rotten Tomatoes, and if a horror movie isn't doing, we think there's a genre bias. So if it's at 60%, that's amazing for a horror movie.
Yes.
I mean, even 50%, I would check it out, right? Because some people just don't like horror, and they're going to say, but 100%. I was like, and then some jerk came along, and it became a few jerks, and it became 99%.
99%. I think it got down to 97%, maybe.
So never mind if it was a black horror movie.
Right.
Any horror movie at 99, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, I was going to be there day one.
See, but understand something. If it's a black movie, I'm automatically going to give it an extra 10%.
Well, that's true for bias.
Yeah, for bias.
Right.
And so, what you had here was a movie that was taken out, it was topping off at 110%.
Yeah.
109%. It's like, what is this?
It could have had the Rotten Tomatoes reviews of Justice League, and I still would have wanted to go.
That's right. Absolutely. It could have been down there at 37%, and we would have been there.
We would have been there. So, we were so excited, and we tried to go to an epically diverse theater, but our sitter fell through. So we ended up having to see it out in our suburban theater, which was, I think we were the only black people in the theater, which was not what I had in mind when I was picturing seeing the movie, but it worked out great. And I think, and this is part of the reason this movie has had such phenomenal success, is that it forces you to empathize with Chris. He is the most empathetic protagonist you can imagine. He is kind. He is patient.
He's artistic. He's
he's
sweet. He's loving.
Yes, it's like, how can you not? So they weren't even seeing, maybe because a lot of people say they don't see race. So maybe they weren't seeing race, but it became about, oh no, these people are trying to hurt Chris.
Right.
And the guy, there was applause at certain violent end moments.
Yes, there were.
Not for me. I wasn't going to be the one to start that.
Oh no, I was. It's like, yes.
Did you
stab her again?
No, did you stand up at one point? No, I'm kidding.
No,
he did not stand up at the finale. But anyway, it turned out great, and that to me, watching
I did scream. That's what I'm talking about.
But one thing our experience at that theater showed me was that this movie was going to make so much money, because if white moviegoers were going to flock to see it, then there was no way it could fail. There was no way it could fail.
That's absolutely the case. I'm going to switch back to our visuals here for a minute.
Yes.
Because it's not like money is the only thing that's important, but it's important. When you're talking about an art form, it's one thing for a short story to fail. Who cares? You turn the page, there's another short story.
Right.
It's another thing for a book to fail, because a publisher puts out, 5, 10, 20 books a month. And the stores can be flooded with them, especially with ebooks. But movies cost millions of dollars.
So we can say only $4.5 million, but $4.5 million in any real world is still a lot of money.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if a young black artist, and I hate the fact that all my life I've had to think specifically in terms of race. That is a luxury that white people have, is to not have to think about that. I have to, because it's always, for me, it's always been a question of, where are the landmines culturally? What are the things I can do? What are the things I can't do? And when somebody like Jordan Peele gets a chance, at the very least, you pray, don't bomb.
Right.
Don't bomb.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
At the very, bring it. Earn your money back. At least get a pat.
I don't care. It's a cult classic.
Yeah. Get a pat on the head saying, well, nice try. Just at the very least that.
Because this is what's real. This is what's real.
What's real?
What we learned in the 90s, there was this black film boom in the 90s, and then it went away. So a film like Devil in a Blue Dress, which I imagine did pretty well. Everybody seems to have seen it.
It did okay.
It did okay.
Just okay.
All right, well, you're not allowed to build on okay. All right, so we didn't have any more black detective films. For
no more Walter Mosley.
No more Walter Mosley. Boomerang, hugely successful. And Reggie Hudlin wasn't able to follow up with a big budget Boomerang too, right?
No, because it wasn't as big as an Eddie Murphy comedy.
Yeah.
And immediately after Boomerang, you'll notice, Eddie Murphy started doing these family comedies. He took a lot of money up front to do movies that on the back end completely torpedoed his career.
So my point is, you're not allowed to do okay,
Right.
And Lord forbid you're not allowed to do badly. And even frankly, if you do well, like with women's movies, they do super great, and then you don't see like a whole bunch. This is, we're talking about a few years ago. It's starting to change. We can see it changing now, but traditionally that was the case. He was going to have to kill with this movie, and guess what?
He killed.
He killed.
He absolutely
with this movie because, and I'm teaching a course. Okay, so Get Out came out earlier this year, and I was in the middle of teaching Afrofuturism at UCLA, and I was like, oh. It's too bad the timing was wrong. I would have loved to include Get Out in my Afrofuturism course. And then I was like, wait a minute. Because horror, to me, is a subset of Afrofuturism.
Yes.
I could just teach a black horror course using Get Out as the centerpiece in the language. So the course is called The Sunken Place, Racism, Survival, and the Black Horror Aesthetic at UCLA. And the registration rolls blew. I mean, a lot of things happened. It was great. They were crazy. I was just tweeting about maybe teaching the course. I was still writing the course. I hadn't watched half the films I was thinking about including. And I heard from a reporter, Evan Narcisse at IO9, who wanted to write an article about my class. I actually had to put him off for about a month. I said, listen, I'm writing the class, so can we talk later? But in any case, then when the article came out, I heard from Monkey Paw Productions, which is Jordan Peele's production company, and DM'd them and said, oh my gosh, we would love to have Jordan. I mean, really just sort of like a long shot, right? It's like, but you have to ask.
Right. And let that be a clue for those of you who are trying to create something in your lives. Ask for what you want. You never know what's going to happen. Ask for what you want.
Yeah, don't assume.
Keep going.
He DM'd me literally the same day, and he's like, I could surprise them. Like the same day the article came out. And it took a few weeks for it to come around, and again, I was wondering, is it going to happen? But then, boom, the magical day arrived, and Jordan Peele showed up in a hoodie and a baseball cap, and came to visit my class. And what we did, I played a clip from Get Out that I knew would totally trigger my students, which is when Rose dangles the car keys. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but there's someone named Rose, and she dangles car keys, and that means something. And they were just fully engaged with that. They didn't notice him sneak into one of the back rows. And when the lights came up, I said, okay, so what do you think the director was trying to say about the coveting of black bodies? And he raised his hand in the back and was like, I have a question. And he stood up, and the class went wild. It went wild.
People were running out of the class crying.
I mean, no, literally, one of the students, because I was like, where is she going? He just got here. Why are you leaving? But she was I think she went to the hall to pace because she was breathless and excited. And it was just because, and it wasn't just, I just want to make this clear. It's not just like celebrity factor, like if any celebrity was in the classroom. It's because they had spent weeks, first of all, contextualizing Get Out with older racist images in film, interracial couples in film and literature. We'd gone back to 1915, okay, to contextualize Get Out. And then all of the themes we were discussing about assimilation and coveting and appropriation and white gaze. I mean, it was like on and on and on and on. They're just so you can unpack so much from the film.
Yes.
It wasn't just, oh, Jordan Peele, that guy from TV. It's Jordan Peele, the master who created this work.
Now, I think that there are a couple of different things were going on there. One is that he went right into the horror, the fear. The other thing is that he's a master comedian. So he was able, although there's not a single plot point in that movie that turns comedic.
Right.
There are images and dialogue that turn comedic that allow you to release your tension.
Right, which is very common in horror.
Yes, well,
yeah.
in the best horror movies,
yeah.
Up to even something like The Exorcist has a couple good laughs in it.
Wow, I don't remember those. But,
yeah,
okay.
but it does. It runs out of humor pretty early in the movie, but humor is a release of tension. So I think that it allowed you to go into some really transgressive material.
Yes.
And walk out of the theater without wanting to kill somebody.
And he discussed it just, Professor Peele, basically, is how he discussed it. It was having a master lecture. It was actually a master lecture, and the students recognized that, and they blogged about it. So that was the journey, from not having representation to now, look at this. This is from last night. Universal, I don't know who else was involved, but through a beautiful reception, honoring the artists, honoring the film, obviously. Oh, but yeah, let me start with this one. This is fan art. They have these pieces that were collected and displayed really beautifully throughout the space to show the impact of the images in Get Out on artists and what they're pulling out and the significant. There were a lot of images of the lead actor Daniel Kaluuya going down into the sunken place and the wide-eyed look and a lot of that. But also, this is Andre. You see over here on the left, the clearest image on the left, and the conversation between black and white in the piece. I mean, there's just the whole room was filled with this stuff. I mean, you could have just stood there and analyzed all the art, but then the room was also filled with the cast, and Jordan Peele was there, and a lot of other people were there. So this is Allison Williams, who played Rose. I did not recognize her because her hair is blonde. And at one point I was talking to one of my students, and my student said, yeah, they're all fangirling in the back, taking pictures. And then she realized, oh, wait, we're taking pictures. The whole class posed for a photo with the entire cast. I'm still waiting to get my hands on that one. But I did catch this moment, because she was lingering and was there forever, and I literally didn't realize that, oh, this is Allison talking to my students. So the last thing I heard her say to them was, well, listen, when you all make your movies, be sure to call me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that was nice. And here we are. This is, of course, the worst photo of the evening, but we managed to salvage it somewhat. They were taking all these photos in front of a really bright piece of art, so it was backlit, and all of you who are photographers and filmmakers know what that means. But there we are with Jordan Peele, and it was a great opportunity. Steve especially had an opportunity to talk to him. We got to talk to people at his production company.
And we're going to be meeting with him in about 10 days to have some other conversations.
Yeah, so that was a really great night. Just a really great night, and it's part of a journey. That journey from underrepresentation to exploitation, which, Scatman Crothers in The Shining is an example of that, and the other tropes that emerged around black people in horror movies like The Sacrificial Negro, which Scatman Crothers was,
yes.
and
Sacrificial and Magical Negro.
Negro, and also Spiritual God, I would say, so you can tick off that box
What was embarrassing, when I taught Clarion, the year that Nnedi Okorafor was there, my first lecture, maybe my second lecture, had to do with tropes that touched on race. And I mentioned the Sacrificial Negro, the Magical Negro. And two of the there were only like 12 students there. And two of them started looking very embarrassed. And they came up to me afterwards. They said that two of the students in that very workshop had Magical Negro stories that they were working on right then. It is such a common trope. Why? It's hard to say. I'm not sure why certain kinds of white people are so fascinated with us being magical and subservient in odd ways.
I think looking at the early films that we discussed in my UCLA class, I think it's a combination of the faithful servant trope, which was super important, for a culture that was really afraid of racial uprising. So the faithful servant is highly valued. So that would also cover the mammy character and all that. And the magical part, I think, was also that early Hollywood had that big fascination with so-called black magic voodoo. A lot of early horror films centered around fear of black voodoo.
Right.
So it's sort of maybe a combination. It's like a taming of that fear, the taming of the fear of black voodoo, and also blending that with the faithful servant. And I think that's where you get the magical Negro. I don't know.
I don't know either. It's some projection of, I think it's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
It's well, they're not smart, but they're magical.
Well, maybe so. And I think a lot of it is rooted, all of it, I think also is...
We're going to give them credit for something that doesn't exist. We'll give them huge amounts of respect for something that's impossible.
We have higher incomes, higher education levels, lower crime levels.
That's
you
right.
have
magic. At least in movies you do.
So, maybe it's that. Well,
in the Sacrifice, just yesterday there was a conversation about Morgan Freeman in the movie Unforgiven. Why did Clint Eastwood have Morgan Freeman die to protect, Eddie Money or whatever his name is in Unforgiven. And I mentioned that I have no interest in watching that movie again because I don't watch movies where the single black character dies, especially dies sacrificially.
Right.
And people were arguing with me about this. No, it was respectful. No, he gave meaning to the movie. I'm not interested in giving meaning to your life. If you want to let you die to give meaning to my life, how do you like that?
Right.
I'm not interested in. I have zero interest. I've got my own life. Don't kill me so that you can feel better about yourself.
It doesn't elevate me to save you.
No, it does not. Especially if I die.
Right.
I want to go home to my beautiful wife and children. Don't kill me so you can say, oh, it's so sad. He's dead. You shall be avenged.
Right.
No.
The moral fuel for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. If you guys out there, have you seen this? Are you sick of this? If you're sick of this, give me some angry faces and some laughter because this crap has to end.
And the good news is it is ending. Really, I'll just say Get Out heralds the era where we're going to see some major shifts in how horror looks, better reflecting who's going out to pay money to see it, and better reflecting the actual world that we live in, rather than sort of societal fantasies based on a romanticized version of our history.
Yes. It's like, no, you don't bridge it like that. But on the other hand, I do get the feeling that people are trying. They're trying to understand. They're trying to contextualize their emotions. They're trying to come to grips with history. And it is tough. It is hard.
And this is where that inclusivity issue, and writers pay attention to this, because sometimes
Please do.
To be inclusive, we'll add a part or designate a part for a marginalized character, someone who's gay, someone who's black or brown. Be very careful about how you treat those characters, because it's not doing anybody any favors or compliments if you introduce them and then kill them off gratuitously. And it's actually hostile visually.
I had a very liberal guy, a guy who's a very nice guy, and I really like him, yesterday saying that he was feeling very uncomfortable, that I was not going to accept the fact that Clint Eastwood was honoring this character, in doing this. And it's like, because he looked at his own work and he's is he supposed to be inclusive of everybody? And so I said, it's not that. It's that what you have to admit is you don't care.
Right.
The fact is that, I don't have an infinite amount of caring. If I do not have a place in my stories for left-handed amputees of Ukrainian extraction who are there and probably are underrepresented.
They're very underrepresented.
They're underrepresented. And I don't care. I'm perfectly willing to help teach left-handed Ukrainian amputee refugees to create their own images, but I'm not going to do it. Why? Because I don't care.
Right. So yeah, this is the lesson of Get Out. Is hopefully we're coming out of those days.
Yes.
A new day has dawned, and it's a great example for all of us, Steve and I, and also a lot of you, in terms of really making your dreams happen. Because yes, the barriers are still there, but there are gaps in the barriers. And when you have a roadmap around the gaps, that means you can get in.
So it's like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Water can flow around things. That there are barriers, but be prepared to go over, under, around, through, until eventually somebody's going to open the door from the other side, because you're continuing to try. You're continuing to work. You've never given up.
Right.
So let's move on from there. It's just there. This is a moment of opportunity.
This
for
is
us.
video play. It's supposed to be a video link.
It's a video link. I don't see it's a video link. Hold on for just a second.
Well, never mind. Well, this next section is talking about how, like Jordan Peele, although with a different path, because all paths differ, you can start small and create in a way that is both easy and natural. And by easy, I don't mean that literally, because creation is not easy, but let's say easier than you think it is. Is that fair to say? It's easy and it's more natural than you think it is. Oh, I don't want sound. Let's turn off the sound. So, I on the video when Steve gets it going, this is a clip from a little short I did on my iPhone, and the iPhones are getting ridiculous. You don't even need an iPhone 10. You can make a movie on your iPhone with an iPhone 5. And I went out to a local hiking path, and I shot a little short with a social justice theme.
What?
Is it showing?
Yes, it should be showing.
Oh, okay.
This is the time
justice theme. Okay, I'm sorry. So it had a social justice theme against mass incarceration. and maybe 3 or 4 days, I just did it solo. I did not have any crew. I didn't have any cast, which meant I had to actually act. But I just wanted to get the story out. Sometimes you just want to get the story out. And it took nothing except the imagination, a little bit of time, the willingness to get lost day after day on that damn hiking trail. And I literally did get lost every day, to make this film. And it is the easiest version. I've asked my black horror students at UCLA to make either a short film or write a short story or write an essay.
Ooh, look at that hair.
It's a wig.
I'd never have guessed.
So anyway, this is how beat down she is, honey. She can't even let her own hair out at work. But anyway, no, that wasn't really intentional. I just didn't want to look like me. I was trying to look different. So yes, my students have the choice to do an essay, which is a more traditional one, and some of them are way more comfortable with that, or a short story, or a short film. And I use this short film as a model. It's like you don't have to have a crew, you don't have to have a budget. All you need is a good story. And they're not being graded on the quality of the filmmaking. They're getting graded on how well they incorporate the themes, the black horror themes that we discuss in class, in their particular work. And that's a stepping stone. You could literally go out today and start making a movie, a 5-minute, just a sort of spontaneous speech of some kind as a character. Just experiment with the form, have fun with it.
Want to go to the stair step?
Yeah, let's go to the stair step. So Lost is sort of the easiest version. Not actually. What would be easier if it didn't have any editing? I did have to edit Lost.
Right.
I didn't do it all in one take, but there are versions of just doing it in one take.
So what we're talking about here is the fact that you can work your way all the way up to a serious feature film. We've done 3 of these steps. You start by writing a script, and you go from writing a script to doing a short film, 5 to 20 minutes. And you can do it on one set with one actor, or get some kids together from the local junior college, or do it yourself, like Tananarive did. What was your budget on that?
About $50. I bought this shirt. It was Halloween, so I bought an inmate shirt at a Halloween store, and I bought like a couple of little scary-looking things. But I really didn't spend and blood. I had to buy blood. I have a story about mixing blood, but that's another story. About $50.
Okay. So, and then here's another picture from that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice legs.
Thank you. I was hiking, so. So then we moved from the basically no money short, or the $50 short, to a short that cost, in the tens of thousands of dollars, which we crowdfunded with the help of many of you kind folks who are watching this broadcast
That's
today.
right.
Mostly
That's right.
on Facebook. We got our pre-production money from Facebook exclusively. Right? And then we moved to Indiegogo for post.
So what you would do, if you didn't see, we were able to do that because we had some social capital because of our books. If you did not have that, then you would start by doing a movie that, a little thing, post it on YouTube someplace. So you can show people what your work. You can show them that they're good. And if you can't attract attention, then you do enough of them that you start getting good, if you have that within you. And you work your way up from doing one for $50, and then you raise $500 from people to do it, through Indiegogo type campaigns, and you go from there to $5,000, and from there to $50,000, and from there, you see what you can do after that. But at every step, you are earning your way to the next step. So if you have the creativity, if you can make people laugh or scream, then you can actually stair step your way there.
And before we switch from this, let me point out, we're remiss not to mention the great Frankie Faison,
Yay!
who starred as Grandpa Joe. You've seen him on Luke Cage and every Hannibal Lecter film. And Saoirse Scott, who had been on One Life to Live for 4 years and could cry on cue like a champ.
Like a champ.
And was great as Kendra in that story. And really, when we crowdfunded this, part of the message was political. When's the last time you saw a movie about a black grandfather trying to help his granddaughter survive?
So what we had was something that had the entertainment value, plus it had a political bent.
Yeah.
So that we were able to enroll people and people are going to enroll themselves in your project, support your project for their reasons, not yours. People don't care about you. They care about how they might feel because of something you do. So you have to show them that you know them, you care about them. Then they will open their wallets, or
Yes.
they'll buy a ticket to your movie. if you can sell these small movies, the process of learning how to sell these small movies will teach you what it takes to actually sell a much bigger movie. We understand all the basics of making a $50 million movie or a $100 million movie because we did this tiny little movie.
And not every project will get picked up beyond the short,
Most of them won't.
Most of them won't, but Danger Word did get optioned for a year after it appeared in a couple of film festivals. And this is the crew. It Takes a Village. Lucina Fisher on the right, who is currently wrapping up her tour with her new documentary she wrote called Birthright, a woman's war story. A war story, rather. And next to her, Eric Schneider, the cinematographer, who had done a lot of music videos. And there I am, and there's Steve, and Terrence Taylor's not in the picture. It takes a village to make a film, so be realistic about the scope of the script you're writing. If you don't know people or you can't hire people,
and the process of stair-stepping your way up will take you from having no understanding of the business all the way to being inside the business, where you can understand the language of the people on the other side of the desk.
Right. So once you've mastered stair-stepping and going from the smaller project to the larger project, just remember that your dreams are also profitable. So it's not just, wouldn't it be fun to make a movie? Which it is.
Yes.
Sometimes.
It was hard, but it was fun.
It's not fun every moment, I'm not going to lie. But it's mostly fun in the end. But it's also profitable. You can also, we haven't made a whole lot of money after Danger Word, but we did get that option, and it's been running on TV, and there's been payments for TV on Aspire TV.
Well, I think also that it has established a certain level of legitimacy. We sit in meetings now, not just as writers, but as producers.
Right.
That even though it's a small film, they know that we understand this is hard work.
And this is, let me go to the next slide, because this is the journey Jordan Peele took.
That's right.
Going from being primarily known as an actor and a comic actor to director.
It was comedian to actor, to writer, comedian, and to having his own show, and then to being in movies that were kind of farcical. And then he got his chance.
Right. And here he is. When, I've read interviews with people saying they had no idea that this was going to be as big as it was.
Right.
Like, they're shooting a small film, and they're out at this remote location and hoping somebody's going to watch it, basically. And we know the rest.
Yeah, if it goes direct to video, that's life.
And of course, now in Oscar season, you have Jordan Peele doing appearances. He was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert recently and mentioned the Sunken Course Afrofuturism course at UCLA, so we were super excited about that. But what I did notice, I have to say, is that I don't feel like Colbert completely got Get Out, or didn't seem to want to. I don't know.
No, he didn't. They were not. He was not returning Jordan's serves. They were not. They were not on the same wavelength.
They were not on the same. Yeah,
they just weren't. Colbert did not understand. He's an ally, but he's not. He was out of step.
And that brings us to the next question. Some of you were talking about, is it comedy, is it horror? Unless you were living under a rock or don't check your social media much, you probably heard that there was some controversy when people found out that Get Out had been submitted to the Golden Globes as a comedy, or that the Golden Globes had selected it as a comedy. People were not sure what was going on, but they're like, that's not funny. And sort of there was this whole movement with people with really impassioned feelings on both sides, actually, because I saw a lot of people on Twitter, and including one of my former screenwriting students from Spelman, saying people are really underestimating the power of farce and comedy to create change, and blah, you denigrate, blah, blah, blah. And then the people who were like, how can you make light of us? So this was like a big conversation that probably taking place on your very Facebook page. I know it was on mine, and Jordan Peele issued a statement. Could you go back to the statement? Jordan Peele issued a statement basically explaining how it happened that the Golden Globes don't have a category that this film easily fits into. And those of you who are award season aficionados know that programming like Orange is the New Black, The Martian, someone mentioned another one, were also submitted under this same comedy or musical category, because I consider that a flaw within their categorization system, frankly, that they don't have the categories that fit the projects well enough. So they were trying to make do with what they could, but he was also really moved by the outpouring and the outcry from fans who felt so seriously about it. And he explained the reason for the visceral response to this movie being called a comedy is that we are still living in a time in which African American cries for justice aren't being taken seriously. It's important to acknowledge that though there are funny moments, and we can all think of those moments,
Sure.
the systemic racism that the movie is about is very real. More than anything, it shows me that film can be a force for change. At the end of the day, call Get Out horror, comedy, drama, action, or documentary. I don't care. Whatever you call it, just know it's our truth, which I think is a beautiful statement. And if I could go to the next panel, are you about to go back to Faces?
Well, I could, but I'll just go to the next panel.
Yeah, so the happy ending
Yes.
to this story is that Get Out has earned $253 million worldwide.
It has earned over 50 times its budget,
And-
which makes it one of the most profitable films in history.
And the most profitable film based on original screenplay, which is why I feel like Best Original Screenplay is a shoo-in.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a shoo-in with the Oscars. That's politics, but whatever. But I've put the visualization technique in front of us. These are all of the Oscar. that Get Out is submitting itself for. I saw, Best Actor, of course, Daniel Kaluuya. They would love that. They would love Best Actress for Dear Allison, who was so nice to my students. Best Supporting Actress for Catherine Keener. I'd vote for her. Because I'm never taking tea from her ever.
Sink into the floor.
She wasn't there last night. I really wanted to pose with her and sort of draw away from her in my pose, but I didn't get my chance. So she probably knew everybody would be doing that, so she wasn't there. But in any case, yeah, I think, and now we can go back to Faces.
Okay, we can go back to Faces.
I think that while the Oscars are unpredictable, or actually sometimes sadly predictable, and while I also believe what Ava DuVernay said when I brought her to Spelman College some years ago, and she was asked about Oscars, and she's an Oscar publicist, so she knew inside and out, and she was the one who said that most of these voters were 60-year-old white men, I think, at the time, right?
Right.
So that's, that explained a lot of the decisions we've seen over the years. That is changing. There's more diversity and inclusion within the Oscars now, but it's still highly political, well-deserving films that weren't able to make the kind of box office Get Out made and have the kind of campaign behind them that Get Out has, don't get in the conversation. And that happens every year. But I do think that there's a very good chance that on Oscar night, Jordan Peele is going to be on that stage.
I think that there's a really good chance.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed because it is cross-genre. It is a difficult piece of work, but it is so strong. It's such a strong debut. It is such a strong... for a seasoned director, it would have been a strong film.
Right.
For a new director,
Right.
just unheard of. It was just amazing. And it's frightening and scary and even heartwarming. His relationship with his friend.
Yeah,
Ultimately is heartwarming.
Ride or die.
This is the kind of movie that we all hope to see. It's something that comes
Yes.
out of nowhere and gobsmacks us with a reality that we have not seen on the screen before.
And as I've learned, just teaching Get Out, just you invoking the sunken place and have the nods of understanding, like my department chair said, because it gives us language. It gave us a vocabulary to discuss these things and hopefully chart a path forward.
Well, I have real confidence in that. I mean, I feel really good about where we are right now as a country. There's some uglinesses.
Oh, now wait a minute.
I look at the uglinesses as actually evidence of how far we've come, because they're basically it's the last of the old guard fighting like hell to try to maintain. And as far as I'm concerned, they're screaming at the moon. They're telling the tide not to come in. There's nothing they can do.
If only they had less power, at the moment to do damage that will take time to undo.
Yes.
It's been eye-opening for a lot of people. So if you didn't know, now you know.
Well, I found that most of the people I've talked to who are feeling utter despair are white. I mean, they literally had not realized how bad things were. We've been telling them. You've been telling them. You've been telling you for centuries.
Yeah,
it's this bad.
That thing about police officers shooting our children, that's real. So we have to hesitate to call the police because we don't want to get shot, even if we're scared. So, that's all real. And now I think everybody has kind of a clearer focus on, okay, there is racism. So how do we use that knowledge moving forward? That's the end of the story.
Well, I mean, take a look at what women are saying right now. There is sexism at a massive level.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this in terms of the sexual harassment.
There hasn't been anything like this.
I think it could reach the White House too, but that's a separate conversation.
I think that this is the time that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
And I think
power, voice.
So if you're politically inclined, which Tananarive is, and I am not really, then use that. But if you're artistically inclined, either support art that is promoting the points of view that you feel are good for you and your family.
Right.
Or create art. For God's sake, what we're praying, what we know to be true, is that some of you guys are artists. Some of you guys want to create material. I mean, I've had in art.
How many of you are, and that doesn't mean published and that doesn't mean produced, but how many of you are artists? Let's see those likes.
Yes, if you're artists, just kind of show up.
Yes.
Just give us some likes.
Great.
Show us who are you, because I know I've had people who I've taught work in film, television, books, short stories, plays, radio, and I know that you've done exactly the same thing. So the people we're talking to here are those people. And
those who appreciate and consume and study and critique that art. You all are super important too, to keep our livelihood and also to keep us honest.
To keep us, I was just thanking a friend earlier today. Thank you for keeping me honest. I understand the responsibility of having a platform. Of having thousands and tens of thousands of fans.
It's hard to, and you don't. There's no school for it, so you learn by making mistakes.
There's no school for teaching you how to deal with success.
Right.
There just isn't.
Right.
So one of the things that we're trying to do is to create these tools. Every week we're trying to give you a ladder from where you are to where you want to be. If you would like to be a cultural influencer, this is the path. I hope you can tell that we're putting everything out here that we can.
And Black Panther about to drop too. Come on, we haven't even had that conversation, right? Because Black Panther is about to drop. I mean, horror,
Wakanda forever,
science fiction, fantasy. What better moment has there? It's going to be a boom, boom. Boom. That's why I don't think it's going to be like the 90s where it's going to dry up again. I think that that time is behind us.
I really do. I think that you're going to find that the pushbacks will continue, and some of them will be sharp, and unfortunately there will be casualties. However, I think it will get weaker and weaker as time goes on, and that we will get stronger and stronger. Why? Because we are in the right. It's as simple as that.
Right.
I believe that about human beings. I believe that about us. I believe that about our people.
Deserves human rights.
We have been under tremendous pressure for 400 years, and I think what's going to happen is heat and pressure create diamonds.
Right.
There are some sharp people out there. There are some.
I met a lot of those people just last night.
Oh my God! it was just
like a whole gathering.
Wonderful. This is what we want to share with you guys.
Right.
We're just dying to share. So I'm really, this is the end of this portion, and what we want to do now is to reward you for having stayed with us. I mean, if you were wondering what was taught in the class, if you were wondering, if you wish that we could share with you the things that we've been sharing over there that Tananarive was able to share with their students, then we've got some wonderful news for you.
Because from the time I first started tweeting about my UCLA course, even before Jordan Field visited the course, I had so many people saying, "Oh, I wish I could take it. Oh, I wish I were going to UCLA. Oh, I wish I were back at UCLA. Why didn't they have this when I was there?" Now, well, hello. I just decided we've taught an online Afrofuturism webinar. We have taught online screenwriting webinars. Now, we are going to teach an online Black horror webinar, the 6-week online course, The Sunken Place, which will be based on my UCLA course, live streamed and a digital download, starting January 13th, 2018. So we'll get past the holidays, all of us.
We have to get past that. Not only that, but even though you've taught the class twice, you're about to teach it again at UCLA.
Yes.
That we want to get the best of the best from the class. We also want to make modifications so that it'll work better as a webinar. But it's, so we're doing everything we can to make sure that everybody, because people all over the world have been asking, I wish, when are you going to bring this around?
Right.
I wish I was at UCLA.
Well,
I wish it wasn't so expensive.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. If you're not registered as a UCLA student, you haven't been able to take the course. I've done some tweeting about it. But there's a lot more to the lectures than the tweeting. So with this 6-week course, we will delve into, and we're still writing the syllabus, we're still picking the works, but these are some of the images. Ganja and Hess, there's Dwayne Jones in the top right corner. who was he was also in Night of the Living Dead. A lot of you did not also see him in the vampire film Ganja and Hess that came out in the 1970s. Candyman, What Works, What Doesn't about Candyman. Of course, Get Out. Blaxploitation classic like Blackula, which despite being a blaxploitation film, was also trying to say something because
it was wonderful
because he became infected. Well, anyway,
we will talk about this stuff. It's like
course.
There is good stuff out there.
Where was this bride from?
Where'd that bride? Darn it, I forget. Oh, wait a minute. No, that was Serpent in the Rainbow.
Serpent in the Rainbow, right?
Serpent in the Rainbow. So Ganja has Serpent in the Rainbow, Blackula, Candyman.
No, don't say it more.
Okay.
Just stop. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Get
out.
So of course, and like trying to replicate the UCLA course as much as I can, so that wouldn't be complete without a visit from Jordan Peele.
That's right.
Who will do an interview for the webinar that you all will be able to listen to, and so that will be our special guest, and we'll also have other special guests. So. Actually, this class will have more special guests than my UCLA class because we'll be talking to other artists in the realm of Black horror.
Well, we can say we don't know all the guests that we're going to have right now.
We're still building the class.
But we know that our past webinar guests have included directors, Hugo and Nebula award-winning writers, Oscar-winning producers, blockbuster screenwriters. We open our whole Rolodex for you.
Okay, a Rolodex, young people, is like the contacts on your phone, but it's on a spinning wheel.
Oh, God, I'm so old.
It's hard for me to explain it, but anyway, just try. It's like your contacts. So we've opened our contacts for you.
So, we love showing you because it's important for you to understand how far we're going to try to create something that is of value for you. And you're going to get 6 weeks of classes, interviews with artists and creators. We're going to cover movies, books, short stories, probably art. All of this will be digital download and on your computer at home. You can watch it live with us or watch it at your convenience later. And if you were to take this in a college classroom, once again, it would be close to $1,300.
Yeah, it would be very expensive. So
and we can do much better than that. In terms of what people thought about it, I mean, we're going to be getting more specific comments from the students within a couple days because we're just putting this together. We want to have a kind of a family situation for you guys. But the students basically said it's the best class we've ever taken, and Professor Du is the best teacher we've ever had.
They might have said that while they were at the cast reception, but still. No, they do. They really. I've had students come to my office, honestly, in tears, not just about Jordan Peele coming to the class, but they're just wanting so much, like a white student who had never even heard about some of the issues we were talking about, who wanted so much to understand and to be an ally and to absorb it, and just came almost for reassurance, and a black student who's, anyway, the students are really, really enjoying the course. I'm enjoying the course.
Everybody enjoys the course.
I had no idea.
You're a lot of fun.
That we were allowed to teach black horror.
So listen, we're going, as always, we're going further. We're opening our vault. We're bringing out things for you guys. Tananarive did a great lecture, Secrets of a Writer's Life, that we're offering. We're just making part of this package so that you're getting everything you need to not just appreciate the work, but to begin to create it yourself.
And that's just, a pure lecture. Also, Steve.
No, this is yours. That's yours.
Oh, I did another lecture, Writing the Thriller.
That's right.
I do a lot of appearances, and sometimes I remember to record them, and then I can share them with you. So
yes.
This is an appearance.
I keep telling her to do it because she does these great talks. They fly her all over the world to give these talks, and then she gives these foreigners this great stuff. But bring it back home. Bring it home to us.
So that's a $99 value.
Now this one is mine.
Yes.
I gave this at the Screenwriting Expo some years back on writing horror screenplays.
Yes.
And it's terrific stuff.
It is. Steve is a great lecturer, as many of you know.
This is video, and so you're going to get that too. And this is one of those, but wait, there's more, because we want to give you, once again, everything you need to move forward. So we've got yet another bonus, and this is a 4-week virtual screenwriting workshop that we did.
Yeah, let me tell you, this is a class, basically, the value of the black horror class by itself.
Right.
It was we could have been selling this class.
Well, we talked about whether or not we wanted to sell it separately, and I said let's hold on to this because I think that the best thing to do would be to combine this with something else. What we want to do is we want to over-deliver every single time for you guys.
And I teach screenwriting at Antioch University, Santa Barbara currently, and this was back, we did Google Hangouts where week by week we dissected Oscar-winning scripts, all of them, or Oscar-nominated. We had guests, again, those same showrunners, screenwriters, Academy Award nominated scripts. It's just, so it's a lecture format. You actually do work on a script. That's a month-long program, so it's 4 weeks. You work on your own script, and at the end, we want you to write your own short script.
That's right. So take a look at what we've got for you. We've got The Sunken Place. It's a $1,250 value.
That's the black horror class based on the class I'm teaching currently at UCLA, as discussed on Stephen Colbert's Late Show.
That's right. We've got Tananarive, Secrets of a Writer's Life. We've got Writing the Thriller. We've got Writing Horror Screenplays. We've got the Virtual Screenwriting Workshop with another $1,250 value. Total value $27.97. And let me just ask you a question. If all this did was help you understand the power of horror in your lives, if all this did was help you create one short story that you sold,
or a short film,
that you, and if all this did was help you to discover how far can you get along the path of creating something fantastic, of being the next Jordan Peele. If that's all it did, wouldn't it be worth it for you to give this a shot, for you to take the risk of this? Because, some of this information is absolutely irreplaceable. You're simply not going to find it because nobody else has the perspective from both inside and outside the industry that we have. There are people who have the academic understanding, but the people who have the academic don't have the practical, and the people who have the practical don't have the academic. And those few who have both of them aren't interested in creating something like this or haven't done it yet. There's nothing like what it is that we're doing.
They have deadlines. So this is something that we both love teaching, and we're artists, and we love sharing. You've been coming to the pages for a long time, so we love to share. So absolutely.
There's
another bonus.
There's another bonus.
Oh,
now that we're going to be doing this in 2018. It'll be early in 2018. Need to get past the holidays, but we're going to do a full Making Your Movie multi-part webinar using Danger Word as the example, taking it apart completely, showing you. And also, what was the name of your little movie, sweetie? Lost. So going from Lost to Danger Word, showing how you get from zero up to $35,000. Because if you do that successfully, you can leverage your way up to $350,000. You get to there, and you get up to doing Get Out.
Yeah. Once again, we'll have the director, Lucina Fisher, here to talk about the process and putting the team together, because she really put together the production team, and other crowdfunding experts will also.
That's right. Producing, directing, distributing, leveraging your way into the industry with zero resources. It's going to be a multi-part webinar, and it's going to be fantastic. It'll be pretty much exclusive for you guys, and you're going to be able to get into it. The value is going to be another $1,250.
So that's a lot. Let's go through everything. The Sunken Place course, as written about throughout media, for $1,250 value. Tonight I do Secrets of a Writer's Life, where I just talk about the secrets of a writer's life. Bonus number 2, Writing the Thriller, which is another talk that I gave. Steve's talk on writing horror screenplays, which is fantastic. The Virtual Screenwriting Workshop, which is its own beast, and just really proud of that course. And then the Making of Danger Word, which we're going to shoot. If you put all that together, it would be worth more than $4,000. So we have a ridiculous offer for you going into the holidays.
That's right.
Because we're excited.
Well, look, after, what we know is that in 2018, this package will be charged at least $398, probably more than that by the time we put everything together, because we're going to look at this thing and we're going to say, this is ridiculous. But what's going to happen is that whatever price it's going to be after Thanksgiving until midnight Sunday the 19th, for the next 24 to 30 hours or so.
Depending on when we get up.
Depending on when we get up, that's right. Basically, until Monday morning when we get up, it's only $248, and you can sign up at realblackhorror.com.
So less than $250 again for the Sunken Place course, which will be a live webinar, which means you have the option to participate live through our platform. But also, if you just want to watch the download, you get one every week. Every week that we do a class. And then all that other stuff, all those lectures, writing your screenplay, and then, once you have your screenplay, of course, you have to make your movie. So
that's
we'll
right.
Also have the
we want to help walk you up the ladders. Take a look again at everything you're getting. The Sunken Place, Tananarive, Secrets of a Writer's Life, writing the thriller, writing horror screenplays, for the virtual screenwriting workshop, the making of Danger Word, just stair-stepping from 0 up to $35,000. The total value of over $4,000.
Until midnight Sunday or early Monday.
Yes, when we wake up Monday morning.
$248 at www.realblackhorror.com, www.realblackhorror.com.
As always, we have a 30-day, guarantee. It's 30-day guarantee. And if you don't like the class for any reason, not 30 stories. That's the wrong thing.
Anyway, 30, you all know what we're talking about. It's a 30-day guarantee.
There we go.
If there's something funky about the course you don't like for whatever reason, we'll give you your money back. But we think you're going to think it's a bargain, even though we know that $248 is an investment, but it's an investment in a bright, bright future. www.realblackhorror.com. I emphasize a different part of the word every time I say it. www.realblackhorror.com.
Right.
www.realblackhorror.com.
Real Black Horror. No, Real Black Horror. You got to put some bass in your voice.
But anyway,
Real Black Horror.
www.realblackhorror.com for all that. The live webinars start January 18th, or I think it's 13th.
Yeah, January 13th.
Which is about the same time I'll be teaching the Sunken Place at UCLA, so I'll be doing a lot of black horror. Oh, poor me. All that teaching black horror.
And how much they're paying so much more at UCLA.
Well, they are paying more.
And so
and they have to do homework, and you guys don't. So there's the big advantage there.
All the fun and
none of the midterms.
None of the midterms. There you go. All right. So let's see.
Thank you all for coming out.
Oh, that's what we're going to have a social media discussion group with over 700 active members now. Thank everybody who's in that social media group. We're having so much fun over there. And, remember, in 2018, this package will be at least $398. Yeah. Until midnight tomorrow, it's only $248 at realblackhorror.com. So that's our announcement. You guys are the first to hear about this.
Yeah, we literally just realized that we
just
needed
put this together.
To do this. It's like, why are we not doing this? Let's do this right now. And I'm so glad we're able to do it and able to offer you all that, because I am having a blast teaching horror. It feels almost criminal to be able to get paid for watching horror movies and analyzing them. And the course would work for a lot of different kinds of folks. Some of you are film students. Some of you are prose writers who want to learn how to write screenplays. That's actually why we designed that screenwriting course primarily, was for our prose writer friends, because I honestly believe that the best way to get your movie produced is to write your movie. Not that it's a guarantee by any means, but even a beginner's screenplay, even a screenplay that may not pop off the page or, could use a few more drafts, is way closer to being a movie than a book. A book is just a great idea that might be a movie. Your screenplay is kind of more of a proof of concept kind of. It's like, okay, this is how this would look if it were in a screenplay form.
Screenplay is like a blueprint.
Right. Right. So
almost a recipe.
It's very common, for a production company or a studio to buy a screenplay knowing that it needs more polishing, and sometimes they'll hire you to polish it, and a lot of times they won't hire you to polish it. They'll hire a more experienced writer to polish it. But the point is, none of that would have been happening if you hadn't taken the first step to actually write that screenplay. And the way you learn how to write screenplays is by studying it and by writing them, and end of story. So that's how I started out. I was publishing prose and publishing novels and looking at Hollywood as sort of this mysterious castle on the mountain, and over time we've sold scripts, and that's a real thing. So
and we're still working. It's still hammering. We published tons of books. We've sold scripts. We've sold projects. Getting it all the way to the screen. I've done that on television.
Right.
I've participated in films, but
Twilight Zone.
The real thing that we want to do is we want to create something that is specific from our hearts and get it all the way through Hollywood. And as we take that step, we're going to give you everything we got, and tell you everything we've got. So www.realblackhorror.com.
Yep, that's until midnight Sunday. Sign up for that very special price. The price is definitely going up in January. And
it's going up Monday.
Actually, it's going up Monday. It's going up twice. So yes, thank you guys for coming. Please share this video if you enjoyed it. And don't forget, www.realblackhorror.com.
Take care.
Have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving.